Well, welcome back to Chiefs fans before we were cool.
We're feeling a lot cooler today, though, this week.
Yeah. Yeah, the mood is like the last couple weeks, like a five. This week I'm gonna crank it up to 11. So,
But
so
but but this why don't you just make it 10?
no. 11. Gotta go
Because
hard.
after 10 you get a little bit more juice, then you go
Yeah.
up to 11.
Yeah. It's like, how the battery on your phone, it goes from like 10 to 2 in like a second, but then it's on like 1% for like 10 minutes, you know.
Oh yeah, we got it.
It's
We
that's our
got it.
that's our energy level
That's what we're
this
feeling.
week.
And
So,
why are we feeling that way, Joel?
because we beat the Bengals.
Here we go.
There's almost no team. I don't think there's any team I hate more right now than the Bengals. And you probably know that because of all the Bengals memes I shared throughout the season. Uh, but
But I mean, and you're not wrong. Like they talk smack so much,
yep,
and it really is our biggest rival in the sense of like the attitude
yep,
that people bring to the games. So yeah, it's always good to get a win and
yep,
against opponent that knock them out of the playoffs.
yep. Yeah, you
Not
should.
that I would have been scared of them in the playoffs with
Yeah.
Jake Browning, but um,
And the thing is, like, I like Andy Reid's style where he's like, you don't give teams motivation before the game. You can talk trash after, but not before. But obviously, this is a Chiefs podcast and not a marriage advice podcast. But let me tell you some good marriage advice right here. Ready for this? If you're looking for great quality in a partner, one thing that I love about Hannah is I think she might be the only person I know who hates the Bengals more than I do. So find somebody who hates a team that you hate more than
I
you do.
that's
So
right.
that's my advice for you. I mean, not for you,
Um,
you're already married, but for everybody else who's not married, who's looking.
no, that
So
seems like a pretty specific thing, but right.
it's worked
It's
100% of the time for me. So,
that's right. That's right. All
all
right,
right.
let's go look at the memes here.
All right.
Oh, the Travis Kelsey two things in ones. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Broncos, Bengals both eliminated
Yep. Two
same week.
two
Yeah, that's good.
animals
I
with
mean,
one
again, for
stone.
both those teams, I don't really care too much
Yeah.
about them as far as like playoff opponents. But
This is just more of a remembering what was said kind of thing, not so much a meme, but
yeah, that's true because the Broncos did beat us and made a big deal out of that. Sorry, KB, it's Chiefs secondary. They double everybody because they can't do it one-on-one. It's not like they got a superstar on defense. It's not like they really have a Jalen Ramsey on the crowd. Yeah, I think Snead is a Jalen Ramsey. I don't know.
mm,
Like I think he's as good as any quarter. For some reason, he doesn't have that reputation, so people keep throwing at him, but it never works.
yeah.
So,
He was a
other
snub
top
for
corners
the
people are like quarterbacks are afraid of, and they won't throw to them. Uh, but I don't know. I think Snead is right up there. I hope we sign him, keep him. We talked about that a little bit last week, I
yeah.
think,
And he was a
and
huge snub from the
I think
Super
he's a
Bowl. He or
priority.
Pro Bowl. He deserved Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
And
big Pro Bowl
I
snub
think that
again, but
the
he was kind of underrated all year. That's why
yeah,
they're like, I mean, he gets penalties sometimes, but that's
yeah.
again, it's because he's getting targeted all the time.
I think other big name corners maybe come down with more interceptions, but also allow more yards in the process. Whereas
Yeah,
he is just the top receiver all game, and like they've got pennies to show for it.
it's
Like,
exactly right. That was one of my biggest fantasy mistakes. I think I played like AJ Brown or a couple of top receivers against Steed, even after he was locking everybody down,
yeah.
and he was just too good. All right, saltiest places on earth. Okay, okay, Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, they're not loving it. It's very chippy between the Chiefs and the Bengals
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I just like they're just a big rival. Like I feel like it should be more like Buffalo where we want to win and we get excited and get hyped, but it's not.
There's like more respect between the teams with Chiefs and Buffalo. You know,
Yeah, I don't know what it is between. why the Bengals are that way or why the Chiefs players respond. I feel like the Bengals started it,
Yep.
but that's a little bit uh maybe a little bit biased as a Chiefs fan. The choke on my golf started software grade, so I put this bagel sticker on it. Now it chokes every time. Yeah,
Uh,
that's
I'm
pretty
taking a
funny.
lot of
I
shots
mean,
at
again, they're a
Bengals.
good team. They win. They're a good, tough team,
Yeah.
but they didn't win this time. Oh yeah, that's true. The Burrowhead.
Yeah. So they definitely started it, you know, but
Yeah, I mean they did. They did for sure.
so for those who watch who maybe are younger and or maybe just weren't as into football, this is Chad Ochocinco. And yes, that's the name he changed his last name to. Uh, Literally trying to bribe a ref in a game with a $1 bill. I think he was doing it to be funny, but it's kind of crazy. So
It's pretty good.
you
Time for bedside.
yeah, that's and if you're not familiar with how the
Indeed.
people look, you got Sneed is the dad and Jamar Chase is the son. So
Yeah, he shut him down. He really did. I mean, there was the foul or whatnot, pass interference call in the end zone.
and we can
But
just end on this one. The last one makes the same point I made already with some of these, but this is just more of an interesting conversation piece for us.
all right, good job, Karloftis.
So
Oh, against
yeah, so Karlaftis got
I was
us.
gonna say let's talk about Orlando Brown Jr.
Yep. So Karlaftis got his 10th sack of the season against uh, Orlando Brown Jr. So those are our memes.
Nothing
I,
impresses me
I
about the
can't.
Chiefs defense. I know you said not to
Yeah,
read it, but I had
yeah,
to.
yeah. Nothing impressed me. They had how many 41 yards was it at the end of the game or something
It
like
was
that?
not impressive.
So I can't imagine. I honestly, I just unless it's just a friend of ours who just likes us, I can't imagine that there's really a Bengals fan watching this, right? I don't know why they would, but if they did, you know what? Like I can still like you for liking your team, but this week I was making fun of the Bengals and I was gonna do it unashamedly. So
Do it.
so
I mean, you make fun of the Cowboys all the time, and they did nothing to you. So
that's true. That's true. That's just more of, that's just kind of that's what you do. You make fun of the Cowboys. Unless you
I
live
think
in
most
Texas.
Cowboy fans make fun of the Cowboys.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in good company.
I had a couple ideas for memes I didn't make. One, I wanted to make like a tiger, and then it's like Bengals when Jamar Chase doesn't talk, and then a kitten, Bengals when Jamar Chase talks before the game. But anyway, I didn't get around to that. So
All right,
those were our memes.
all right. Brother wonders, who do you think will end up playing in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, it is really hard to say because of how convoluted. There's so many teams that have 9 wins right now.
Yeah,
So, it's also like Jacksonville's not guaranteed to win their division at this point. So it makes it really hard to guess. Um, I feel like there's a good chance it could be the Browns or the Dolphins, but I'm not sure
the
about that.
highest I believe. I mean, the Dolphins, if they lose, they're the opponent.
Okay.
Um, so playoff the
Because we would play the 5 seed, right? Or the 6 seed, I mean.
yeah. Um, so the Dolphins are a 47% chance, Bills are a 20%, Colts are a 17% chance, Houston's a 14%, and the Steelers is a 4% chance.
Honestly, I'm fine with playing the Dolphins if that's who it is. They
Yeah,
beat the Cowboys in Dallas, but they are 1-4 against teams above 500 this season.
yeah,
Obviously, they've an explosive offense, but they haven't seemed to be able to handle good teams.
yeah,
So
yeah. And if that's our opponent, that's our opponent, Tyreek Hill. That would be a good match. good matchup. I think we're a good matchup against them. Um,
Is that who you
if
think we're
it's not
playing?
them, I mean Bills. That's kind of nuts to be facing them in the first round. I've said before, I think they're a pretty good team, better than their record. So I'd
Yeah.
rather not face them.
Yeah. The
Um,
Bills, if they lose, do they make the playoffs?
they could not,
They
right?
could
They could
not.
get
I guess it
knocked out.
depends on who else wins.
Yeah.
So,
So they might or
okay.
they might not at all, which would be crazy.
Yeah.
I'd rather not face them, but um, so I think most likely Dolphins. I think the Bills will win, but
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows? I mean, like some of the other opponents, it feels like that would be a pretty layup matchup, except for maybe the Texans. CJ Stroud's been playing out of his mind, so
Yeah.
and their run
Yep.
game's been a lot better recently.
I think, is a rookie of the year shoe in, offensive rookie of the year,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah,
I
there's
guess
some
just rookie
really
of the
good
year.
rookies this year. I mean,
Yeah.
between him and Puka,
Yep. That's
yeah,
true.
and then I mean our own Rasheed Rice. So
Yeah. I feel like he's not gonna get it just because it's not as flashy as like a quarterback or but maybe you're gonna bring this up or not. Do you know Rice has the most yards after the catch in the season?
yeah,
He is above Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb is in third place, but he's not a bunch up, but still being past Tyreek with a lot less receptions than Tyreek, also, I should add.
yeah,
He's really
he,
good with the football in his hands.
yeah, yeah. So and then the other question we've already answered: would you rather play the Dolphins or the Bills? So
Yeah. Although to be honest, I don't mind if our I think we match up better against the Dolphins, but I wouldn't mind getting another shot at the Bills and then either getting another shot at the Super Bowl against the Eagles or the Lions because I think we could win those games potentially. I think the Lions, especially like the game we lost against them, we were down Kelsey, we were down Jones. We had a dropped pass turn interception. There's a lot of mistakes. So I'd like some revenge games, but if we don't have to have those either, I guess that's okay.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Awesome. So I was thinking about some stats or some things. It sounds like we've already had some stats there. I was thinking of playoff percentages as stats
Mm.
to focus on, but Pacheco running yards, I thought really stood out.
Yeah.
130 yards. That's crazy. And so I thought that was really impressive. And Harrison Bucker, man, scoring 6 field goals. Uh, it's been nice to see him hit all those.
I just realized that's crazy. There is somebody somewhere who won their championship game because of Butker.
Yeah.
Like they
Like how many?
he had what 5 field goals? Is that right? The
Yeah.
some from pretty good out
So
like
no, I think it was. Oh, this site doesn't show the Butker kicks for some reason. That's weird.
yeah, and our league doesn't have kickers, so I
Um,
can't check that.
yeah. So it would be at least. I mean, obviously, it's at least 18 because what's a lot of field goals?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was 6 field goals, and one of them was 50, so that had been 5 points,
Yeah.
and then a couple were 40, so that's uh 13 points, and then threes after that.
And then an extra point is worth one, is it? Or how is it?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
also did you hear so Rice obviously had a heck of a game. Yeah. Rice baby. I don't know if you heard this, but I read somewhere that that one play in particular where he got all those yards, right, on that kind of like post route, that that was not his called route, but he recognized before the snap or during the early parts of the snap that they were in like I don't know if it was an option route or if it was just he recognized their coverage is very vulnerable here and he had the guy beat. So he that was not the route he was intended to run apparently. But he knew
yeah,
to do that and Mahomes hit him and obviously huge play right there. So
yeah, yeah. I'd read that as well. Yeah, that's awesome. He's maturing and getting better as a receiver. It's
they
so
grow up
cool.
so fast.
They grow up so fast.
Before you know
Rice,
it,
rice,
Rice
baby.
Rice Baby is a Rice Rice man.
Rice, rice, baby. So
Uh,
absolutely, rice, rice, man. You're a man now. Um, now just help carry us to the promised land of the Super Bowl, right?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think like players get sad about this? Like to me, it's like, okay, Kelsey is likely to not play, but he's 16 yards short of another 1,000 receiving yard season. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like obviously the Super Bowl is more important and the playoffs are more important. But do you think part of him wants to go out and like get a 16-yard catch? Like
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't be super surprised if they got him those 16 yards through a couple of easy, safe routes.
yeah,
Like, sneak in a couple plays, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it's not the end of the world. Um,
yeah,
you can get him 16 yards. Uh, the other team might, yeah, they might be a little bit jerkish about it.
yeah,
Sometimes teams aren't always the nicest to players trying to do that. They're like, "Oh, we know what you're doing." That's kind of a real bummer for Kelsey because I think he has the record, right, for them.
yeah. At
So
least for a tight end, he definitely does. Um,
right for
but
the tight end position, yeah,
yeah, yeah, and I probably feel worse about that for some, but like this may be jumping the gun a little bit, but we might lose Sunday because we're gonna have a lot of starters not starting, and the Chargers might decide to just play hard just for some pride.
yeah,
So we'll see. Like
yeah.
I'm
The,
expecting
the
Snead not to play because he's been dealing with a little bit of injury, so we don't want
yeah.
him getting hurt. But
So Kelsey's the only one I think of those that makes any sense to be going for that. Like Rashid Rice is too far away, 62 yards.
yeah,
It'd been nice, but he has lots of years ahead of him. I think for Kelsey, it's just the record kind of a big deal, and he's
yeah,
only 60 yards away.
yeah.
So
And I don't know. It's like, will Pacheco play some? If McKinnon is out still, then Pacheco might have some snaps just because we don't have depth at running back, you know.
true, he's
Um,
gonna run.
yeah. So
Yeah.
um
So that's that was the other thing I was kind of thinking about. But yeah, I think as we think about this game, there's not a whole lot to say, honestly. I mean, uh, I was very encouraged by the way we moved the football,
yeah.
and the way that we ran the football, particularly. We did struggle, got to the red zone. That's why we
Hmm.
had 6 field goals. But that's okay. Like, if we're moving down the field, that's way better than getting a bunch of 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. We had a lot of yards on offense. Mahomes played really clean. We didn't have
Yep.
any turnovers, which
Yep.
is really the big thing. If we could avoid turnovers. The other thing is like the Bengals defense is not nothing. And so a lot of teams struggle, I think, against them in the red zone. But I would rather see struggling in the red zone, but also hitting the deep ball on a few routes.
Yeah.
Um, oh, that's another thing I remember you wanted to talk about. Um, obviously, MVS uh, struggled. um, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that he's still playing as much as he is. Um, yeah, I don't know. He
Yeah,
just it made me mad when he blamed Mahomes,
yeah,
like on that drop. Like he had a different drop that was a little bit harder catch. Like again, he could have catch it, but he's got to catch some of those. Like Mahomes can't just like drop it in his lap. I think sometimes Mahomes is is just trying to make his throws as easy as possible to the receivers, and that's why he's making it dangerous throws. Because like
yeah.
once it as he's got it, he's like, I got to drop it directly on them, and even then it's not perfect.
And
And
Mahomes
my
was hit as he
MVS like
threw that.
what?
Mahomes was hit as he threw that ball too.
Yeah, but like MVS is like looking like it was behind me, like it was behind.
Yeah,
Like no, you're like you take ownership of that. And I
yeah.
know he's probably getting a lot of heat for stuff and all these other things, but like, look, you gotta take the blame.
Especially when Mahomes publicly has done nothing but defend MVS.
Yeah,
You know, um,
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing is like if you watch, obviously slow motion is not always tell the whole story, but to me it just looks like he starts looking for where he's going to run
Yeah.
before. So he takes his eye off the ball, which I'm not a professional athlete, but that's like the one thing I know you're not supposed to do. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing, and I didn't get to watch the second half in like all of it. I saw some of it, but the other thing is like early on in the year, I think we were concluding why is Justin Watson getting as much snaps as he does. And I think MVS probably gets open more often than Watson. But Watson also comes down with the balls on
Yeah.
the deep ball.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't get a lot of targets, but he this season he has made use of them and he has come down with the ball often
Yeah.
on those targets. And some of them are not easy catches either.
Yeah. And I don't want to make a big deal after the fact, but I really didn't like keeping him BS. I didn't think we needed him. I didn't think it was helpful. And it is helpful to have a fast person, and he is a veteran player, but it just seemed like, oh, we're keeping a veteran player that's not that good.
Yeah.
Uh, like it's not the same thing as keeping Tyreek Hill or something like that. Like I don't feel like maybe his experience helps the younger people, but
Yeah.
his performance has not helped the team.
Yeah.
So
My
that was a frustrating thing for sure. Yeah.
my dad said something which I think might be true is that my dad thinks that he has lost his confidence in his ability to catch things too.
Yeah.
And so,
Yips.
yeah. So,
Got the yips. And that can happen, and I can have compassion for that. I just don't want you shouldn't be playing 90% of the snaps. That's not the way to
and you shouldn't blame Mahomes.
and you shouldn't blame Mahomes at all. Yeah. I do think the real turning point of that game was the 4th-and-1 stop when the Bengals drove down.
Yeah.
I think that broke the will of the Bengals, and really our defense just started getting unlocked. So I was pretty
Yeah.
happy about that.
I read a lot of people saying, Bengals fans saying if Joe Burrow would have played, we would have won. They saw that their offense didn't score points in the second half. But honestly, especially the last part of that second half, like the O line did Browning no
Yeah.
favors.
Yeah.
Like they just were getting demolished.
Yeah.
6 sacks in the game, is a
Yeah.
lot. Um,
And like your meme said, it was a little it felt a little bit better about losing Orlando Brown Jr.
yeah,
after that. I mean, it's one game, and honestly, I would still probably rather have him for 16 million than Juwan Taylor. But um,
yeah, yeah. So, but it is nice to see that like he has not fixed the Bengals offensive line problem. And the Bengals might still have a decent offensive line. Our D line is just a beast, especially if they get to the point where the run is getting less viable. Um, we can just wipe the floor with people sometimes on
oh,
that.
absolutely, yeah, that run game is probably pretty important this year
Yeah.
with the receiver. You just can't lean into them. It's okay to have them, and you need to use them. I love that we took some shots down the field. Go for it. Teams are daring us to throw, and Patrick Mahomes, like I think this game showed teams that Patrick Mahomes can still hit the deep balls.
Yep.
His receivers can't always catch him, but Rasheed Rice caught one. Like I said, I'd like to see more Justin Watson, like you were talking about. So that
Yeah.
was really nice. And like Rasheed Rice, like if he becomes like a 3-level threat as a receiver, watch out. Like you're saying, he's credible
Yeah.
after the catch.
Yeah.
So that he's going to be a really good receiver
Yeah.
for years down the road. Yeah, it seems like.
Which like the thing that's really incredible about that is he's not slow by any means, but he's not
Yeah,
fast either, right? Like he's not Tyreek Hill, he's not MVS, but the fact that he has the most yards after catch, I think shows his maybe agility and like I was think quick
he has some
decision making
agility
skills.
and
Yeah.
toughness. He just bowls
Toughness.
people
Yeah.
over. He carries people like 2 or
Yeah.
3 yards. So
Yeah.
got a big frame and he uses it really well. So big fan.
He's like the
Um,
receiver version of how Pacheco runs the ball.
and
Like
the other thing, yeah. That's really funny. That is a pretty good comparison. Uh, the receiver Pacheco. It's too bad we didn't have Chris today, so he could like really showcase his jersey and celebrate Pacheco because
Yeah.
that was really a Pacheco game.
Yep.
The other thing I would say, like when people are like, "Well, you played the backup," that's true, but like maybe we play more aggressive and we get another touchdown. Like we had some short, like 4th and 3s or 4th and 2s. So it's easy to play the what if game, but the end of the day, the Chiefs defense showed up and the Bengals didn't score anything in the second half.
Yeah.
Backup or no, that's a pretty good work. They went for a 4th and 1. We punished them, and then we punished them the rest of the game.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
like
They
they're yeah,
the Chiefs adjusted in the second half
yeah.
and won the game. The Bengals did not make the necessary adjustments and they lost,
There you go. Simple
It's
as that.
and backups can have good games too. I think some team that has a young quarterback will try to trade for Browning to get like a better backup behind him, or something, but you can obviously, if Mahomes was out, like Sunday, if we lose and Mahomes would play, well, we could have won with Mahomes. Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, you have to win with who you have available. So even though, week one, I was like, it feels like we would have won if we had Kelsey or Chris Jones. We lost that game.
Right.
And you have to win with who you have. That's just how football works. I mean, that's how everything
That
works, really.
works.
So
Yeah. So I mean, the Bengals are a good team. They talk a lot of trash, so I hate to admit it, but we'll probably see them again. We'll see them in playoffs. We'll see them. Regular seasons. Usually, they're going to schedule us against the Bengals all the time because now it's like got to be a money making thing.
yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
they're still going to be a playoff contender, but they're going to
yeah,
be in some hardship now that Joe Burrow's on the big deal, and a lot of their receivers are contracts are coming up. So like, I think the consensus is like Higgins is probably not there next year.
yeah. Should we sign Higgins? Huh?
I
Maybe.
think if you get him for the right price,
Yeah,
I really want people to take some Super Bowl chance discounts to play with Mahomes.
it's
Um,
true.
or
It's harder
like,
and harder to get that though, I feel like.
yeah,
Or like, it takes a certain level of player. Like when they're thinking like 7 million versus 3 million,
yeah,
okay. But 20 million versus like 5 million, they're not gonna do that.
yeah. Well, and also is like with Juju Smith-Schuster,
Oh,
you get a player that's good, but's had a bad year the year before and kind of is on a prove it contract. Those
yeah,
are really good deals for the Chiefs and they're really good deals for the receiver because like nobody's going to pay me what I deserve, but I can play 1 year with an incredible quarterback and I'm going to look better than if I play one, on a better contract with the worst team for a year. So,
that's true.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, even though this week's more exciting because of the win, the cuteness factor of our episode this week is definitely smaller than last week.
We
Because
lost some
Matt's not here,
cuteness.
right? Just
That's
kidding.
okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
And that's all right. We lost the brotherly beard.
Yep.
Um, but that's we won, got the dub, the Bengals, and that's what matters. This week, we're locked into the 3rd seed. So this week, our game doesn't matter as far as that. So we want to rest people for the most part. Maybe get a drive or two with some of the starters. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a 53-man roster, so they can't sit everybody.
Yep.
So people are going to have to play. So we'll see if they put in Kelsey for, get his 16 yards. I think that makes sense to me as valuable. The others, I don't like 60 plus yards is not worth
Yeah.
risking that much playing and stuff for Rasheed Rice or Pacheco.
Yeah.
No, do not want to see this team without Rasheed Rice this year
Yeah.
uh,
I agree.
or Pacheco. I mean, we've seen that a little bit more. That's a little bit more manageable, not because
Yeah.
Pacheco's
But
not a talent, but
Pacheco, obviously would have, I think, easily had the 1,000 rushing yards if he hadn't had injuries this season. But, that happens to everybody. But you know, this is the first time now that I feel like obviously Pacheco's great. Now I'm like, man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like, I'm gonna be sad that we probably won't keep him because he actually has kind of proven himself in the receiving game this year, and a
right.
little bit in the running, but
He's a good
um,
backup. I
but
mean,
it's
as a first round pick, he's still kind of expensive.
yeah,
So I don't mind letting him go. But
but Pacheco's the guy.
Jacko's the guy for sure. Yeah, I think it's a little bit shorter episode. We'll see what we do next week. It's going to be kind of a weird game to talk about, but we can
Yeah.
start looking forward to our playoff opponent. I think that'll probably be the focus of
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get some special things going for us as we go into the playoffs.
Yep. The
So
Chargers are bad.
the Chargers are bad,
We might
and
beat them with our backups.
we might beat them with it. Wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last time. Uh, so I think another thing to note is just that yeah, it sucked losing to the Raiders on Christmas. It sucked losing
Yeah.
to the Broncos a few weeks before that, but like um Andy Reid, let me say it this way. The AFC West is the property of Andy Reid.
Yeah.
8 division titles in a row. That's crazy.
9, 10 win seasons.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So it makes up for all those years where being a Chiefs fan was a lot less fun. So
You're right. Exactly right. It was had some rough years, but we've been good for a long time. We've clinched the AFC West. Good job. And it's on to we'll see who our opponent is next week. Like I said,
yeah,
hopefully not Buffalo. In
yeah,
my opinion, I don't. The nice thing is it'll be a home game against either of those teams,
yeah,
which at least we'll get that one home game against a really tough opponent
yeah.
there. So that'll be good.
Which, by the way, I just think it's totally messed up that in the NFC, right? They've got that one, the Bucks division. Which one is that? The NFC
Oh, the
South, is
Browns
that?
play the Bucks probably. Yeah.
But the thing is, it always bothers me when you sometimes get a year where a team, because they won their division, they get home field advantage even when they're like 500 or they're under 500 in wins, but their division was so bad. I was just like, I feel like that's just
Oh,
wrong that they
absolutely.
get home field advantage. But
Yeah, there should be some. Maybe probably should be some changes with that. Although I don't know if they will do that. So
yeah,
we'll
so
see.
all righty. Well, thanks for being here.
Hey, sticking with us.
Yeah,
Hey, we came back. The Chiefs have come back. We're in the playoffs. We know we're at 3 seed, which is not bad.
yep.
And let's
And really,
roll.
the season doesn't matter. The playoffs is all that matters.
That's
And
true.
will we make it all the way? I can't say for sure, but I can say out of every team in the AFC, the Chiefs know how to win big games.
True.
So
Yeah.
into
So
that,
we'll see
we
how
can.
that goes. Like I said, the only other team at this point, based off that last week, I would probably take over them is the Ravens, and the Ravens have been known to drop games they were supposed to win. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yep. So all righty.
All
Go
right, man.
Chiefs.
Chiefs Kingdom. See you next week.
See you next week.